Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what. So DeepSeek had NVIDIA lost $1 trillion worth of stock. So, but it was bullshit. They were using GPT-4 in their training of their supposedly new and amazing artificial intelligence to rival supposedly rival the USA. Supposedly. Yeah, so some of the foundation of Western civilization is Greek mythology, Greek civilization. So those are a lot of the foundations of Western civilization itself. Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, democracy, all that forms like the basis of Western civilization besides Judeo-Christianity. So it's an absolutely gorgeous day after a absolutely murky and terrible 2 weeks of weather. Yeah. All right, so Greek civilization, maybe even more than the Roman Empire, have a great influence in Western civilization through their great works. Homer, as I said before, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, great poets and philosophers, Pythagoras, mathematicians, etc., etc. And so Homer, the Greek poet from ancient times, he wrote two major works that were celebrated and found. They're translated, the Iliad and the Odyssey. So the Iliad chronicles the Trojan War. All right. And was it between Athens and Sparta, I want to say? It's been a while. So I do like that kind of content, but I don't consume it all the time. And then the Iliad, which chronicles the Trojan War. And then, of course, the great epic, one of the original Odysseys, one of the adventure one of the great adventure poem stories of all time, before Lord of the Rings, before anything, Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever, before any of that, there was the Odyssey. Before 2001, A Space Odyssey, there was the original Odyssey by Greek writer, poet, philosopher, genius, Homer, credited to Homer. And this chronicles Odysseus, who is returning from the Trojan War and going back home to Greece, but he goes on all sorts of magical they're very Legend of Zelda-esque adventures. They're very mythical. And so there's like, krakens and all that stuff, like Medusa, lady with snakes on her heads. If you stare at her, she turns you to stone. There's Cyclops and all sorts of magical, it's like Legend of Zelda-esque fantasy mythical creatures. There's sirens, there's like mermaids that sing. They're like enchantresses, all sorts of stuff like that. But in the Iliad, it's a chronicle of the Trojan War, and mainly deals with Hector, Agamemnon, and the great warrior Achilles, and a love triangle that tears the city-state of Troy apart. Christopher Nolan's directing some movies based off the Iliad and the Odyssey coming up soon. I guess they'll be separate movies, or I don't know if it'll be a series of films. I'm not sure. It could just be directly from the text. So the ancient text. I don't know what he's going for, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. It'll probably be very complex, brainy, and probably it'll look beautiful. Most likely it'll be expensive. I haven't seen the sunshine in a long time. So this is pretty amazing today. It's been gloomy and murky since the winter storm. So this is quite refreshing. go towards like it's one of those days everybody's hanging out by the car, but it's like where workers are like, man, I need to take a break, and they're like opening up their car door. It's the open up your car door kind of day. So that's what it is. It's the car chilling day or walking or whatever, anything kind of outside. It's the kind of day the elderly people, they even get out on their walkers and they kind of wheel out like, it's a pretty day. Like even if you're like crippled, you get out of your wheelchair, start spinning the wheels around. Just a beautiful day, right? So they would call the computer virus the Trojan horse because, so just for a little Cliff Note refresher, yeah, I was right. It was a conflict between Greece and Sparta. So I guess the photographic memory was still working, but it was over Paris and Hector, the different princes fighting over Helen of Troy. Okay, maybe I didn't remember all the little details, but anyways, there it is. I did at least remember that it was a conflict between Greece and Sparta. So at least I remember that much. Yeah, so the Spartans, they need a trick to get inside the gates of Troy. So they have it disguised as a gift, a Trojan horse. It's a big wooden horse. That's where they hide their attack troops. And so when they get in, when they finally, the Trojans let them inside their city walls, their gates, with the Trojan horse, thinking it's a gift. But as we all know, there's nothing in life that's for free. And when somebody gives you something great, you got to think to yourself, well, what are the strings attached to this? Yeah, or if someone promises you something too incredible that they don't even seem capable of giving, you have to question their motives, their intent, like Lord of the Rings, Lord Sauron. Beware the Lord of Gifts, because he's probably trying to enslave you by the gifts. And so the Trojans foolishly let in this wooden horse from Sparta, and all the troops come out, and that causes the fall of the Greek city-state Troy, precipitates its fall, is the catalyst for its fall. All right, because they fell for that dumb trick. And so that's when computer viruses started to come about. They called one of the more malicious ones the Trojan horse virus. And I guess Trojan means anything that penetrates. That's why they named a condom brand after it, right? So it penetrates, you know what. So they started to name almost anything that penetrates any kind of thing or barrier into Trojan. That name becomes synonymous with anything related to any kind of penetration, let's say, almost any kind. Whether it's a cyber attack, a condom, or the ancient tale itself. So what China's DeepSeek reminded me of was that old cautionary tale from the Iliad from Homer, back in the times before Christ. It reminded me that America, like Troy, could get fooled by some shiny gift that they think is great. China knows, the Chinese Communist Party, that it cannot defeat America in a military assault. It's just virtually almost impossible. So they're using guerrilla, cyber, and devious tactics, information theft, corporate espionage, military espionage, economic warfare, any kind of other method that is not direct physical conflict. So they're using any kind of devious method and tactics, underhanded. Guerrilla and cold warfare tactics. They're trying to use the freedom and liberty of America and the innovation and the creativity of America against itself, like ninjutsu. Trying to turn America's power into a liability instead of a solid, reliable strength. They have not been successful in doing that. I'm just saying what they're trying to do. So China will come to the USA and say, we want to be your buddies. Or, hey, we got this new toy. We got this new, we just beat you in AI. Or the space race, we have this new thing we want to share with you. And all the Americans with their love of gadgets and toys, and they want to have the latest thing, will say, ooh, oh, I want to be the top thing. Oh, I want to be the best. Oh, I want the latest app. I want the coolest thing in the world. And then by that time, it'll be too late. Then they'll launch their cyberattack because it'll be everywhere. Who knows what it'll shut down, and it'll collect all location data of all the U.S. citizens, all the personal data. Maybe it breaches the banks. Maybe it breaks down the power grid, but that's how they're going to try to get in. So the time for trusting what the Chinese are saying, if we ever did, but the time for trusting the Chinese Communist Party is over. So, wow, looks like there's quite a conflict over there. It's a beautiful day. Put a smile on your face. Yeah, not really. That's not what happens. That's not the reality of a big city. So it's not just a whole bunch of millions of strangers together getting along, right? Be realistic. So even they can ruin millions of people conglomerated together, can ruin even the most beautiful of days. It's just, So the next time the Chinese Communist Party or China tells Americans or Western civilization that they just invented the superior AI or faster than light travel or quantum teleportation or whatever bullshit, please don't believe it. thing about McDonald's is that it gives you diarrhea, which is a problem. Gives you. It'll give you diarrhea, Diarrhea, Hey, you don't want that.